Question number 10, we have the line x equals 2 and y equals negative 15. The line x equals 2 is a vertical line, and that slope is undefined. The line y equals negative 15 is a horizontal line, and that has a slope of 0, and those two are perpendicular. Question number 11 asks us to determine which two lines are perpendicular. First two are just like number 10. X equals is a vertical line. Y equals is a horizontal line. So those two will be perpendicular. And the equation y equals negative 4. The slope is negative 4. The second one is in point slope form. So we get our slope from this number right here. And that slope is 1/4. Negative 4, positive 1/4 are negative reciprocals. So those two are also perpendicular. Question number 12. Again, we have a vertical and a horizontal line. X equals 2 is vertical. Y equals 1 is horizontal. So those two are perpendicular. And to check the other ones, y equals 3x. Your slope is 3. Y equals negative 1/3 x minus 4. You would actually have to distribute here, and you would have negative 1/3 x plus 4/3. And your slope would be the negative 1/3. 3 and negative 1/3 are reciprocals, negative reciprocals, so those two would also be perpendicular. On the back side we have more equations. Write an equation of a line in point slope form that passes through 5, 3 and is perpendicular to 5x. Y equals 5x. We want perpendicular to that, we need to do the negative reciprocal. So our slope will be negative 1/5. And now we want to put that point and that slope into y minus y star equals m times x minus x star. And if we put those numbers in, we will have y minus 3 equals negative 1/5 times x plus 5. And that is point slope form. Number 14 asks us to write an equation of a perpendicular line in point slope form that passes through these 2 points. First thing we need to do is the slope. Negative 1 subtract a negative 5 over 2 subtract 0. And you end up with 4 over 2. So your slope is 2. But we don't want that slope. We want the slope of a perpendicular. So that will be the negative reciprocal. So that would be negative 1/2. And we can pick either of these points. I'm going to pick the first one. And we would have y plus 1 equals negative 1/2 x minus 2. The x comes from right here. The y comes from right here. This is a negative 1, so it has to go in as a positive, and the 1/2 goes in for the slope. Number 15 asks us to write an equation of a parallel line, slope-intercept form, that passes through those 2 points and has a y-intercept of 4. First of all, we have to do our slope. 9 minus 4 over negative 2 subtract a negative 3. That ends up being 5. If we zip-zap that, it's 5 over 1, so our slope is 5. And we wanted a parallel line. Parallel lines have the same slope. Our y-intercept is 4, so we can put those two numbers into y equals mx plus b. and we would have y equals 5x plus 4. Number 16 asks us to write an equation of a line perpendicular to this line. We want it in point slope form, and it passes through this one. Since we want a perpendicular, we want the slope that's the negative reciprocal there. This slope is -2. Our slope will be 1/2. Point slope form, and it passes through this point. So we need to substitute into y minus y star equals m times x minus x star. And when we put those numbers in, we will have y minus 5 equals 1/2 times x plus 3. Point slope form. (17) asks us to write the equation of a line, point slope form. It should say -4, 1, perpendicular to -2x. Perpendicular to -2x, we want the negative reciprocal, so our slope will be 1/2. And then putting that into point slope form, we will have y minus 1 equals 1/2 times x plus 4. And number 18, write an equation in slope-intercept form for a line that passes through -2, 7 and is perpendicular to this line. Well, if we want to be perpendicular to that line, we need the negative reciprocal. So the slope we are looking at is m equals 2. And if it's going to pass through that point, we need to substitute that into y minus y star equals m times x minus x star. And you end up with y minus 7 equals 2 times x plus 2. Now this is point slope form. We were asked for slope-intercept form, so we need to distribute, and we would have y minus 7 equals 2x plus 4. And if we add 7 to both sides, we would have y equals 2x plus 11. And that is the equation of that line in slope-intercept form.